making the decision between living at home with your parents or taking that risk and moving out on your own is a big decision a lot of young adults face, mainly in their 20s. So in this video, I want to discuss some of my personal experience with this and going over some pros and cons of living at home with your parents. So the first thing I want to discuss is the cons. And the first con I would like to get into is the lack of freedom that you have staying at home with your parents. So this can be a couple different things. The first one I would like to touch on is the lack of social freedom that you may have. Now, this can vary between, of course, every, parents are different. Some are a little more stricter than others. So, this can vary, but typically at the end of the day, it's your parents' house and they have a set of rules. And if you're under their roof, you have to abide by their rules. So again, this can look different for everyone, but, it can, hinder what you want to do. You might want to have a friend come over, at 1 a.m., but you can't do that, right? Or maybe just anytime. Maybe your parents are doing something and, you can't have friends over. Maybe you want to bring a girl over and, you can't do that because, at the end of the day, it's their rules. And, you might want to do something to the house, maybe change something in the house or do something different to the yard, but you can't do that. Your parents are always going to have the final say in any type of decision like that. So that's something that you have to consider dealing with, and over time, it can get old, and you can get to a point where you want more independence. You want the feeling of independence, and you can only feel that so much. There's a roof, as you could use, as to where, it's like a cap, and you can only go so far, and it gets to a point where, you get sick and tired of it, and you want to feel that independence. So, and that leads me to my next point, which is a delayed personal growth. It's very hard to grow. You can only grow so much when you're living at home. Again, we're going to talk about the pros a little bit, but of course, yes, financially it can help you, but, there's just something about having to buy your own groceries or making sure, you're staying up to date with your laundry or cleaning the house and making sure your room is organized. Just, there's a lot of things that you kind of take for granted when you do move out. But again, this is a con where your growth can be stunted because you're in a comfort zone. And a lot of times people don't even realize this. So this was a big reason why I moved out. I moved out when I was 22 years old. But it was me. I felt like I couldn't grow anymore. I felt like I hit my peak and I don't know if you call it a new challenge. I guess you can, but I knew for myself, me personally, I needed to grow, and the only way I could grow was getting out on my own, because it's a whole new plethora of challenges you face, and you don't realize it until you're out on your own. And again, I think it's good for everybody to, at some point, do that, because again, it can make you, especially if you're a man, it molds you into a better man. And it's hard for me to describe it, but once you get out there and on your own, you'll see what I'm saying. And again, it's when your back is against the wall, when it's all on you to have to, make sure to pay the bills and to, make sure, the fridge is stocked with food. It's a different type of feeling. And it's a different type of growth that you can't quite reach until you move out on your own. So yes, that's another con of staying at home living with your parents, is that stunted personal growth. And the last one that I would just like to touch up on is privacy. This can kind of go back to the freedom part, but yeah, it's just privacy, especially if, you're a young dude and, you want to have a girl come over and, you don't have privacy, or maybe you just want to walk around naked, right? Maybe you won't want to have clothes on. No, it's kind of silly, but, maybe you just want to walk around in your underwear, or, it's really just, again, not having the privacy aspect of it, because obviously it's your parents' house. So, you can't do those certain things. And, a big thing, of course, for young men is probably the girl part of it is, maybe your parents don't want you to have girls over, or, maybe they're, super strict about it. You can't have your door closed. And, again, this varies from parent to parent. Again, some parents might not care at all, but, some parents do. They might not, like I said, maybe not let a girl stay over the night, So there's a lot of things that can, again, every situation is going to be different. So it just can get to a point where you want your own space, right? But we can discuss some of the pros, because there definitely is some of important pros that can definitely help. And I've learned this being out on my own now for a couple of years. And the first one is going to be huge, but yes, it's financial, being able to save finances. So yes, money is a huge plus, and I wish I would have took more advantage of this when I was at home, and I definitely wish I could have stayed home a little longer to stack bread and to stack cash, because I don't know if there's a number that you can put to set to save, because I think you're always going to look back and be like, man, I wish I would have saved more. Because man, when you get out on your own, you just realize just stuff just comes up, and it's like, man, it's like, it just sucks. You just wish you had more money saved up. It's definitely nice if you can save up enough money to definitely, use as a down payment for a house. If that's one of your goals you want to do, if you really want to be a homeowner, I would strongly suggest you definitely do that and take it serious when you're at home with your parents with money, for sure. Just make sure to save as much as you can. And don't take that for granted, because that is one of the things where, I would save, but looking back, I wish I would have saved more, 1,000%. And that kind of leads me to my next point, is you have a little bit more flexibility with your career and job life, because you can be a little more risk averse, because again, you're not going to be responsible for keeping the lights on. Maybe your parents, especially when you get to a certain age, maybe your parents might charge you a certain amount for, rent, but at the end of the day, it's not all falling on you. When you're living on your own, everything falls on you financially. So, you have a little more flexibility to, like, man, if you want to, shift gears and maybe, take a few weeks to yourself or a month to yourself to, change careers, or, maybe longer. Maybe if you want to go back to school for a couple years, you can do that. Of course, you can do it when you're living on your own, but it's a lot harder to do that, because you're going to have a good amount of money, a good source of income coming in to cover your bills and expenses. And, your bills and expenses are always going to be less when you're living at home. Just the truth of it. So, it's definitely something to keep in mind. And this is why I always tell people, if you're still, living at home, like, again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a weird thing at all. It's not bad. Just take advantage of it. Take advantage of the opportunity and the risks you can take while living at home. So now this last one can be a pro or a con, I guess, but you're closer to your family. When you live out on your own, I'm lucky that I live close enough to my family, so it's not, I don't live far away from them, so it's nice I get to see them a good amount. But, some people, they live, maybe out of state, or just, far away from their family. When you live with your family, they're right there every day. So it's nice. But again, if you don't have a great relationship with your mom or dad, or, step parent, or whatever you might, live with, your situation, I guess that could be a con. But I like to think of maybe, there's at least one person in your household that, it's nice to be able to see every day, and it's nice to be able to interact with them and, just share memories and share experiences. And just don't take those days for granted, because like I said, when you move out on your own, it's going to become a day, of course, where you are on your own, and they're not, you're not going to talk to them every day. You're not going to see them every day. So definitely something to not take for granted. But I think I touched up on everything. But my overall opinion, my overall message for this video is there's nothing wrong with living at home with your parents. I don't really care what age you are, as long as you have a plan and a goal you're trying to reach, and you're trying to get to that point, and take full advantage of living at home with your parents. Like I said, the financial aspect of it is huge, and please take full advantage of that. And yes, take risks. Try different things out, different career paths, whatever you want to do. But be smart about it and just use it, because it is an advantage to living at home. But like I said, for me personally, it just gets to a point where you kind of feel like you hit your head on the ceiling, and you're ready to move out on your own. You're ready for more challenges. You're ready to grow as a person. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Definitely love to hear your feedback in the comments on this one. So yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.